Yes, stay right there. Today, I am in conversation with executive of digital transformation and CEO of PIP Consulting Group, Dr. Paul J. Bailo. Please help me welcome Dr. Paul J. Bailo. Welcome, Dr.
Oh, thank
Paul.
you. How are you, Besar?
Wonderful. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who are you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Yeah, so where were you and what happened? So I grew up in Queens, New York City. So I like to consider myself a street kid who never thought that they would go to college. So, but if you fast forward, I've actually just finished school probably about 4 or 5 years ago with a PhD, an MBA, two master's degrees, and a bunch of uh, graduate diplomas from Georgetown and from Columbia. And I'm also a professor at Columbia University and also NYU, teaching digital transformation and data analytics. So I like to consider myself as a regular person, normal, humble person, as best as I can be, trying to help people and make the world a better place, person by person, student by student, company by company, and have fun doing it.
What are top three mistakes to avoid?
Yeah, so I think to understand about top three mistakes to avoid, and I think this is referring to teams. Um, One thing is to think about this in relationship that everyone in a team is not equal. Everyone brings something special to the team, and as an executive, as a leader, it's our job to bring that out in people. The other thing is that not everyone likes each other. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that when you put different people together, they're not naturally going to just stand around, hold hands, and sing kumbaya. There is a logical, psychological dance that has to happen in regards to getting people to work together. And sometimes people obviously just don't like each other. But in my experience, the people who don't like each other actually really like each other. They just don't realize it yet. It's almost like when you talk about friends who just growing up as little kids who just didn't like each other, and today they're friends for many many years. And then the third thing really is that when working with teams, I'm not always right. I mean, I'm smart enough to realize that I am not 100% right. I like to say I'm more right than wrong, but I have to be open and honest with myself to say that I'm not always going to have the best ideas. I'm not going to have, I'm going to make mistakes. I mean, it's sort of who I am, and people do this all the time, but just own up to it and move forward and learn from it.
What are your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Yeah, so I fail all the time. So it's basically what I will tell you is that one of my greatest failures is that overall, and I work for some very large companies from American Express to GE to the Federal Reserve to Citibank and Mastercard. And one of my failure points is that I trust too soon. I should really listen to Ronald Reagan, who said, trust and validate. I was brought up in a Catholic home, a Catholic family where we trust people. So we naturally think that people want to do the right thing, that people will take care of people, and that they would put their egos in check. I am a lot of times completely wrong about that. And at the executive level in the boardroom, I really have to be more cognizant of the fact that what people say and what they do sometimes do not align. So in my experience, I'm basically have failed multiple times in really trusting people to do what they said they would do, and really keep people at the forefront of what we're discussing. The other thing I fail at is the fact that sometimes I don't have the right strategy. And I think it's right. I look at the data, I think it's right, and I have to really be more open to the fact that I don't always have it right. And I try to circulate myself with people, but sometimes when you're the president or an executive, people just think I want to hear yes. But I'd really rather say, Paul, your ideas are terrible, and here's why. And I'm okay with that. So one of my mistakes is the fact I have to find, truly in the beginning of my career, I should find more people who are anti my thinking, anti Paul, really bring closer to people who dislike my thinking so I could really hear about what I'm doing incorrectly. And then the third thing I have to be cognizant of is I have to do really a better job of keeping people happy, because I keep thinking that people really like to work together, and it goes about what I said before, but it just can't bring people together and expect them that they have the same value systems as you do, that they have the same work ethic as you do, that they have the same benefit of growing up in a caring, loving household. So I have to really be cognizant of that. And this is really where my clinical background in a master's in clinical social work comes into. And I really try to work on an individual basis to get people to try to really love and care each other as best as I can to get the job done. Now, I'm not saying everyone has to hold hands and sing kumbaya, but we have to get the job done. And the benefit of this is hopefully people have long-term relationships and they love working really hard and doing cool stuff. But that doesn't always work. So those have been some of my major mistakes in my career.
Thank you. Now let's move on to the success portion of the story. And what are your top 3 success secrets that others can follow?
Yeah. So most recently, as president of PIP Consulting, we've helped with the coronavirus, and I was asked by executives on the federal level to help out. And really, what happened is just through my personal contacts, they've asked me to help out in the state of Texas with their PPE needs. Now, I basically was handed a big pile of mess to basically say, how do we help? And I said yes to everything, but I knew I could do it, but I didn't know how yet. And in 8 weeks, I created a digital production factory in Bangladesh with over 3,000 people working on PPE. I helped convert a shirt factory into a PPE factory. And we saved over 3 million lives in the state of Texas. Now, I'm not into fashion, I'm not into sewing, and I'm not into manufacturing. But one of my successes is I am confident enough to know that whatever I'm given, that I know how I'm going to figure it out, and I know I will be successful doing it, but I may not know how to do it at that time. But I know that I'll be able to do it. So one of my truly most honorable success stories is the fact of helping out the state of Texas with having over 3,000 people working on developing PPE. At the end of the day, we helped save over 3 million people's lives. The other success that I'm very happy about is I started a company called Phone Interview Pro. I wrote a number of books that have been around the world. Phone Interview Pro is really the first and only company that helps people with their phone skills. And we've helped over 2.5 million people. A lot of people, it's really pretty funny. I think my wife and board think we're more of a nonprofit because I just love the fact that we're trying to help people. We're not making a lot of money, but we're definitely helping people. But the letters that we get, we do a lot of work with the people who are blind, and really just the fact that by going through my research and the Phone Interview Pro performance reports, that it definitely adds value helping people in need to land positions. Now, once again, this all came to me in a dream about helping people and writing a book and building this company. So I can't say that I woke up one day and had this great idea. I literally had a dream. So one thing I'm very proud of is the way I've wired my mind to be open to things that maybe, I'm not too sure if these are like the invisible hands of God, just moving me along to say, this is what you need to do in the world and help people. The third thing I'm very happy about is when I was running the budget for an organization called the New York City Transit Authority, and I helped create the first retirement fund. It's like called a 401k, but it's really a 403 or 457 plan to over 40,000 people. And to this day, I feel responsible for the fact that I've helped over 40,000 plus people have a really good, solid financial retirement. So at the end of the day, these are things I'm really proud of. But at the end of the day, it's really about helping people do really cool stuff and bettering their lives. With me really just being happy that I'm part of it. And if I could just be in people's, when I'm teaching at Columbia or NYU, that if I could just be a little bit in someone's mind for 30 seconds, my purpose in the world has been accomplished, to help people and get them to think openly and clearly about the world and their impact in the world.
Dr. Paul, we are entering into a speed round. That means quick questions and quick answers. Are you ready for it?
Yes, I am.
What is the most impactful business book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I love this question. Now, if you looked at my office, there's probably over 400 books all over the place, right? But the book that I use all the time is this book, which is actually the Holy Bible. And this book is actually very special to me because a week after my father had passed away, I was in a crowded train coming from Connecticut to New York, and the only seat available was right there. And sitting on that chair in the train was this book. So true story, right? So within days of my father dying, it seemed like that he had put this book there because he was very religious. My dad and mother would go to church every day. So the book that I use as an executive leader is really this idea of caring and loving and sharing, but being very demanding too. So it's really this idea that looking at a human being and realize that they want to be loved, they want to be cared for, and they also want to fit in. And what I try to do is live my life as best as I can to sort of be fair to people, to be open to people, and really try to help people. I mean, there's no greater value in the world than helping people in any manner or form, giving them a job, getting them to think differently, seeing the world differently, and trying to relieve, some of the pain in the world. And what I would say for the book is, is the quote that I like to take from a leadership perspective is live a life of purpose, right? I mean, that's sort of the goal of reading this Bible is like, I believe we all have some sort of purpose. I think my purpose really is to transform and help wherever I can go or where people I meet. Even, what we're doing here, I think, Bashir, you're doing an unbelievable work of God here, trying to get executives to share their knowledge, to help entrepreneurs, to help people, right? You're like almost like an apostle. You're like the modern day apostle to the world of trying to share this knowledge that we have in order to help others. I mean, I don't think there's any greater thing in the world than helping others. That's why I love, helping companies transform, fix them up, turn them around. I love really molding students' minds at the highest level. I love writing books and sharing the knowledge. I'm hoping, some people take at least 30 seconds of what I'm trying to do here. I'm happy as a pig in mud.
Wonderful. Dr. Pal, we will just leave the answers to about 30 seconds, as you said, so we will keep the attention of the people. And my next question is, what do you want to be remembered for?
Yeah, so I don't want to be remembered for anything. If I do my job right in the world, I'll just be part of you. So I don't want to be remembered for anything. If I donate money and stuff, don't put my name on a building or anything like that. I don't need to be remembered for anything. I'm trying to live a really good life and give back. But I don't need to be remembered at all, really.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
Full force right in the face. Let's just figure it out and move forward. I live my life as having purpose and knowing the fact that whatever comes my way, I'll be able to handle it no matter what.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
So I don't think I'm ever going to grow up, if you ask my wife. But I would just keep doing what I'm doing, running companies, turning them around, teaching, having fun.
Once you have a revenue generating idea, how do you convince your significant other?
Yeah, so I think it's a matter of just laying it out and saying, here's what I want to do. And, most people love working with me. Most people love the creative idea, and most people love the energy of starting something new. So I'm not too sure if there's really much of a convincing if someone really knows that this is who I am and what I want to do. If anything, I think most people really just holding on for the ride.
What are you grateful for today?
To be honest, I'm just really grateful for being alive, and really just sort of living a good life as best as I can. Family, friends. I mean, I have a really good life. I love teaching my students. I love fixing companies. I love helping people. So I think it's like heaven on earth here. Now, not every day is perfect, but try to do the best you can with what you have.
Who is your living mentor and what is the impact they have on you?
Yeah, so it's funny that you say living mentor. I have to say that my dad had passed away a few years ago, but I don't really feel like he's dead. Let's be clear, he's dead. But I still talk to him, right? I still feel that he's here with me. My wife says I keep talking to myself, but it's really I'm talking to my dad. So in a sense, he's not living physically, but he's living in me. And I really feel like he's with me, and he's sort of he's very intelligent, very smart. And as I said, my mom and dad go to mass every day, but, so he's really the person who I look up to, especially when things get really tough, and really has the greatest impact on me.
Why is being impactful important to you?
It's really, it's sometimes it's sort of interesting. I just try to speak the truth and to the best I can. And then people, have shared with me the impact I have on them. I'm not aware of fully, like my modus operandus isn't to be impactful, but really to help and to be a servant leader. But what happens is because of the strategy and what I could bring to the table, it is very impactful. So sometimes I'm not fully aware of the positive impact I have, but I don't have to be impactful. I'm just trying to do the right thing at the right time for people and organizations.
How do you start your day?
Yeah, so I usually wake up cranky. So a lot of people wake up happy. I sort of like wake up cranky, and then to be honest with you, my dog Fenway usually wakes me up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then I have to open up the door. He goes out, then I have to feed him, and then we go for a walk. That's literally how I start my day, being woken up by my dog.
Who is your ideal client?
My ideal client is someone who's having a lot of trouble, who feels like they're failing, who, really just feels like there's a lot of chaos. Those are the people who call me and should call me. So if you have an organization that's in trouble, if you have an organization that needs to be turned around, if you have an organization that can't see the light of day, I'm the guy. Like, I love doing this. This is what I do and who I am, is really looking for these really messed up, crazy companies that really need some help.
What would you advise to your younger self?
In my career, I would have wished I stayed longer. Early on, I was working for the mayor of New York. I was working for the Federal Reserve. Absolutely loved those positions, but it always seemed that I moved on too quickly because other organizations would be calling. I just wish I spent more time in those companies. Now, I've always, I mean, every company that I've worked for, all my leaders and the CEOs are all friends of mine from 20, 30 years ago. But if I was to do it over, I would do exactly what I've done, only maybe spent a little bit more time in the organizations that I've been at. And I would also really focus more on developing of the people early on in my career to really quickly ascertain the fact that it has nothing to do with just the results. It really has to do with the people and helping the people.
How can we support you?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you get a chance, one is how I could support you. You could go to the LinkedIn. Also, if you want to take a look at the PIP Consulting Group, if you have an organization that's in need of transformation or needs advice, or if anyone needs an advisor like myself on their board. I'm all about helping people and offering really solid, impactful, revenue generating ideas.
What would you say about your guest experience on the show today?
So I have to say this is very unique in a sense, Bashir, is that, when we first met, you were extremely kind, right? So, and I've asked you multiple times, what can I do for you? And you consistently said, it's not about me, it's about helping the entrepreneurs and helping people out there. I just absolutely love that. And also the fact that how structured this is and how open it is, right? To in our prep, I thought it was very, very positive. But a lot of people are trying to get, I'm asked a lot of times to be on shows, and a lot of shows I usually turn down. But I was very taken with the way you approach this, because you weren't trying to use the guest, you weren't trying to get your own sort of agenda out there. You were truly, really heartfelt the fact that you were doing this for people to learn. So I was very impressed with that. So my experience in working with you in the short time that I've known you is extremely positive. And you and I share the same philosophy of, helping each other, helping the world, and helping people around us.
Dr. Paul, thank you so much for your kind words. Mm-hmm. And what would you say about your guests? What would you say as a final word?
Go out there. Life is tough right now. Try to have a lot of fun. Do some cool stuff. And just remember that the universe isn't made for you to fail. The universe is made for you to be successful. So just go out there and do some really cool, interesting stuff. You will fail. I fail. We all fail. Just get up and try it again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Paul. On the behalf of Entrepreneur Empowerment Club, we really appreciate your time and your wisdom. I hope our path cross again with another amazing guest. Until then, you have a wonderful time.
Excellent. Bye. Thank you, Basar.